Good morning, good afternoon to all our Praktani brothers from around the globe. I welcome you all to the 33rd Adda, which is organized by Vidyapit Praktani. The idea behind organizing this Adda is to share knowledge and experience of our Praktani brothers with fellow Praktani brothers so that they can gain those experiences and succeed in their life. And today we have very exciting topic for this Adda session. But I will not disclose. I think you all know about the topic, but I will not disclose further about the topic. For that, I would like to invite our moderator for today's session, who is none other than our most lovable Bhaiya, who is Indranil Bhaiya. So Indranil Bhaiya, the podium is all yours.
Thanks, Vikas. Really an honor for me to be able to moderate a session for my very dear friend Subrat. Subrat and I were in the same batch. We are of a quite older vintage than you, Vikas. So we are from the batch of 1997, 25 years back. So I know we have others who are from a still earlier vintage. I see Dipto, who is also from our batch. I'll start with a quick introduction. Somebody asked me what I am doing. I'll start with a quick introduction about what I am doing, and then but this is not about me. This is more about what Subrat has been doing, because it's been a very exciting business that he has built, and I think there should be more about what he has been doing for the last 12 years. Just a quick check, is my voice, am I audible to everybody?
Yeah, now it is perfectly audible. Earlier it was a little bit, the voice.
Sure. I'll try to speak a little. In terms of what I do here, in terms of my educational background, I'm an engineer. I had an opportunity to go to Singapore after my 12th. I received a scholarship from the government of Singapore. I went to a college. I don't know how many of you have heard about this college. It's called NTU. It's one of the state-funded engineering colleges of Singapore, Nanyang Technological University. I did my graduation from there and stayed back in Singapore for a couple of years. And in 2007, I came back to India after spending 7 years in Singapore. I came back to India for my MBA. I did my MBA from IIM Bangalore, graduated in 2009. Wasn't a great year to get out of an MBA. Our placements were happening 6 months after the global financial crisis of 2008. Quite a grim time to get out of an MBA, but ठीक है, मतलब कुछ ना कुछ नौकरी लग गई थी. I worked as a consultant, management consultant. I joined Accenture from campus. I worked there for about 6-7 years, and since 2016 I basically quit and started a startup of my own, which I started with one batchmate of mine from IIM Bangalore. We are into the technical jargon that people throw for our space is robo advisory. So we have designed a bunch of investment algorithms based on which we manage the money that clients have invested with us. So that's the long and short of what I'm based out of Thane, which is a suburb of Mumbai. So that's about me. I'll start with I'll move on to Subrat because I think that's a far more exciting story that all of you should hear about. Subrat, as I told you, was a batchmate. Both of us got out of Vidyapit in 1997. Subrat was a prodigy by even as a kid in Vidyapit by any standards. I joined Vidyapit in class 4. Subrat came in class 5. People who have seen Subrat while they were in Vidyapit would know that he was an absolute mathematics prodigy, to the extent that I still have those vivid memories that during the exhibition, I don't know if it's still there or not, but during the exhibition there used to be a mathematics department in those days, and we had a special exhibit where Subrat was the main attraction, and he was carrying a board with him which read, "I am not Isaac Newton." because he was one of those guys who in class 5 and 6 could do differential calculus. So absolute child prodigy by any standards. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that he went on to do the kind of great things that he did later on in life. He graduated from Vidyapeeth in the same year as I did, as I said, in 1997. Then he went on to do his engineering from Pantnagar University, after which he got through at MDI Gurgaon for his MBA. He graduated in 2007 from MDI, and from campus he joined Asian Paints, which is one of the top companies recruiting from MDI. He worked with Asian Paints for 3 years from 2007 to 2010. And like all prodigies who refused to get comfortable in a cushy job, in 3 years' time, he was bored with what he was doing, and he was itching to do something more challenging. And that's when he quit and he started his own company, which today is called People's Labs. In brass tacks terms, if you ask me, what does it do? Well, it helps companies recruit talent. But I think you would do much better than to assume that this is just another recruitment agency, because I have had the privilege of having a ringside view of how Subrat has built this business, because he has meticulously built this business from both the ends. He is not somebody who just works very tactically by working with the companies for whom he helps do the hiring and just get a fees from them. I believe he's very unique because he has built a very strong sort of domain and an expertise and a reputation for himself for also grooming the right talent for companies. So, and this is something very unique. You will rarely find somebody who is in the recruitment space who is also doing training and grooming in engineering colleges and business schools. And I can tell you, this training and grooming part, while it might sound very generic, but I can't help you. I can't overestimate the importance of doing this, and I have seen the importance of this firsthand. See, when things are good, when everybody all and sundry are getting recruited, then it's fine. Then a rising tide lifts all boats. But during times when things are not so good, I have been through one such situation. As I told you, I got out of my MBA in March of 2009. The world was a very, very different place at that time than it's now. The Lehman Brothers, one of the largest investment banks in the United States, had collapsed, and the ripple effect of that was being felt all across the world. The entire global economy was in tatters. The US and Western Europe were in recession. India, although not in recession technically, but the job market was in a very, very bad shape. I graduated from what is considered to be one of the best business schools in the country. To give you an idea, in those times, we used to have a batch of 250 in Bangalore. In a typical good year, about 50 to 60 guys will get placed on what is called day zero, which is when the most coveted jobs will be on offer. In 2009, only 13 offers went out on day zero. That's as bad as it got, right? And when you are in that kind of a crunch situation, then believe me, those 13 offers will not go to the people who are the 13 toppers of the batch. Because during such crunch situation, companies are looking for an X factor. That how are you different? What do you bring to table beyond your grades, beyond your academic excellence? What is there that you bring to table? And those are times when you have to project a unique story to companies in order to crack that job in a very difficult market. And I think Subrat was very early on recognized the importance of helping students develop a story and articulate that story to employers so that they can stand out. Because see, you based on your grades, based on your academic excellence, you can get a short list when you are out there in the job market. But whether you crack that interview or not is really going to finally depend on whether the employer is going to see something different in you compared to the other people he meets on that day. right? And this is where I believe that Subrat has built something very, very unique. He's helping build talent, groom talent for the industry, and as well as he is helping companies hire the right talent. So he's in a very beautiful sweet spot. I have been speaking for a very long time, and I'll take a pause at this stage and hand it over to Subrat. Subrat, I know you have one very interesting PPT, but I will not strictly go by the PPT. I'll prefer to keep it the format in the form of a free-flowing conversation. You can refer to the PPT wherever you believe it's necessary. But why don't you start with how the last 12 years have been? What's the journey been like, and what's been the key highlights in the last 12 years?
So thanks, Indranil. I hope I am audible, everyone.
Yeah,
you're audible. You're audible.
Right. Yeah, so at the very outset, I'd like to thank everyone for inviting me, the Praktani team. And thanks to all the brothers, dadas who have joined. It's a pleasure and privilege to be here and share whatever little I have done. Of course, Indranil has been kind enough to introduce me, but it is a journey which has just started. And what I would like to share is I will not go into the details of what we have been doing for the last 12 years. But if I have to just, pick up 4 or 5 learnings of what my last 12 years have been, I will just highlight upon those learnings, maybe sharing a story wherever I feel that I have something interesting to share with you. The first thing which I would like to share is what I learned the hard way. In my initial days, I was always thinking that, if you're doing a good job, everyone is automatically going to flock up to you. And that is when one of my professors told me, he has also been my guiding light. He said, Subrat, always remember, jo dikhta hai, wo bikhta hai. You may think you're doing an amazing job, but if the world does not come to know about you, then no one is going to come up to you. So for all the young brothers and all other brothers who are, in the phase of making their mark, I'm pretty sure many of you already have made your mark. But if you are in that phase, my only advice to you would be, please ensure that you spend good amount of time on your branding and outreach, which is there. Because if the stakeholders don't know you, honestly speaking, there will be someone who may have got a product or service which is much lower than you, but he or she may take away the cake. So the first thing which I learned the hard way is, that is, jo dikhta hai, wo bikhta hai. Second, there is a divided opinion if I talk about research as to where independent entrepreneurs are successful, or when you start in a group or 2 or 3, those entrepreneurs or those startups are successful. The research is divided, but my own experience says it is always good to start with 1 or 2 co-founders. But just like you need to be careful when you choose your partner in a marriage, be very careful when you choose your partners in the business, when you choose your partners in the startup. Be very clear about that what does each one of you bring to the table. Because what happens is many a times, and I faced this firsthand, the irony or the beauty is that 3 years into our starting, the one person who was supposed to be the core of the entire business decided to move out, and then the remaining were left over there. My only advice or my only experience if I have to share is, please be very careful about your partners with whom you're partnering. A lot of times, we think that why should we get into tough talk at the beginning and things will finally fall into the place, and if anything arises, we'll talk it over then. I can assure you, it is always better that you have a tough conversation at the beginning. Do not go towards the end, because if you go towards the end, there is a lot of, challenges, and it may end up in a bad blood. Thankfully for me, it didn't end up in a bad blood, but yes, there was a separation few years down the lane. That's my second thing which I have observed. The third thing, and this is perhaps, something which I firmly believe in, and that is one thing which has helped me, maybe because I never got a winning idea like what Indranil or some of you have got. But one thing which has definitely helped me in my journey is, I believe your network is your network. Feel free to share your ideas with your friends, with the people you are comfortable with. Because honestly speaking, a lot of times I have met, my counter entrepreneurs who talk about that, this is an idea, someone will take away, someone will, copy the idea and everything. Honestly speaking, my school of thought says that the friends with whom you are comfortable, always discuss the ideas, because that helps you refine the idea, that helps you identify what are the areas of improvement, and that helps you bring it to a structure which actually simplifies and makes the thing wonderful for you. And trust me, if only idea could do the wonders, I'm pretty sure 90% of Indians would be entrepreneurs by now. Because the next point, which I have learned the very hard way, is your ideas have zero value. I can go back to the year 2008. I still remember with one of my batchmates, Prashant, we did a huge amount of research and everything. We wanted to come out with the concept of customized t-shirts. It was first time in India that in Gujarat, the company had imported a machine from Germany, wherein you can print the t-shirts the way you print, you take printouts using paper. That was the first time. Now it is very common. We did a lot of strategy, but we never implemented it. That idea was of no use. Similarly, with a lot of other friends, I have always seen that we discuss a lot of ideas, but if you have not implemented it, to sum up, the only point which I will share is your ideas must be there, but till the time you implement your idea, it means nothing. And my next point, again related to it, is fall in love with your idea. The only thing which can keep you going is your passion. And if you're not passionate about it, you can never be an entrepreneur. The year 2020, 2021 were pretty tough for me. And I'm thankful to a lot of brothers, dadas with whom I had a long conversation. I was one day speaking to Ashutosh of 1987 batch. I was having my own dilemma. What should I do? Should I continue? Should I go back to industry? Should I move into academia? And we had a long conversation. And at the end of it, he said that, Subrat, I'm putting my money. And I'm telling you that, 1st of April, 2022, let's talk. My hunch is you're not going to quit what you are doing. You're going to continue with that. His words were prophetic. I have decided to continue with what we have been doing all these years. But one more learning out of COVID has been, you must keep on looking out for the ideas, because 10 ideas may flop and then it may be one idea which can just turn around the things. This entire thing of whatever 500 CR opportunity which we are talking about, it has not come overnight. It has happened on piecemeal basis, which is there. It has been on, off, on, off, on, off. And finally, it is now beginning to take shape as to where we can say that, okay, now we are taking baby steps towards this entire direction. In the last 12 years, it is nothing to be proud about, but I have no qualms in admitting it in front of all of you. We made a lot of decisions, many of which backfired. We went to an IT space, we burned close to a CR over there for a company which is bootstrap, which is not into funding. That's a big money which is there. But then we decided, okay, if something is not working out, what is that other thing which may work? Because as you move from idea to idea, maybe you're just one step away from the idea which can click and change the entire game. So I think if I have to look at the last 12 years, these have been my learnings, I thought, which I'll be happy to share with you. Back to you, Indranil. You're on mute, Indranil.
Sorry. Am I audible now? Okay, hi. Thanks for sharing those insights, Subrat. I think very, very valuable. A lot of them I could sort of personally relate to as somebody who runs a small business. I think the part that I could relate to the most is the only thing that keeps you going is your love for the idea. Because especially if you have chosen to be an entrepreneur, obviously there are sacrifices to be made. You're no longer in a cushy job getting a very fancy salary, and you see your friends who are doing well, moving ahead in your career, while you might still be struggling for some time. But and during such times, the only thing that can keep you going is how passionate are you with your idea, with your venture. Is this something that keeps you going, whether you would do this even if you are not getting paid a dime for doing that? Right. So very relevant points. Before moving ahead, I think Gautam, who is also from our batch, had a question. He's raised his hand. Gautam, is there something you would want to add here?
Yeah, it's not like a question, just on one of the experience that Subrat has shared earlier. So, and like that the first learning what he has said that jo dikhta hai or wahi bikta hai. Probably like I would also add on to it because probably like when we say like jo dikhta hai and bikta hai, but if you don't give a proper service on your first experience, customer will go back. And one of the examples I can give you, because I was in a city in Newport, and there was a new restaurant chain that has opened, and essentially like they were serving like Indian food, and it was a like unlimited buffet and all. So the hotel was like the restaurant was quite good. The food was all looks very much similar to Indian food and all. But when we went to eat on our first experience, it was completely bad. The food was quite bland and all. So essentially, I just want to add that we also, when we say that like we have to grow in our business, obviously first and foremost, I agree on that, Subrat, that like jo dikhta hai, bikta hai, but at the same time, we should also ensure that when we like the customer approach us or like our end users, we give them the best experience on the very first um, like instance itself, and probably like that will give help to grow the business more, any business. So that's just wanted to add on it.
Thanks, Gautam. Thanks. I think point well taken. So, Subrat, is there something that you would want to respond to that?
No, I think Gautam, very valid point. In fact, the entire premise of sharing, I started with the sentence that you may have a great product or a great service, but if you are not visible, then someone with a poorer product or service will take away the business. So there is absolutely no substitute to giving customers the experience, the wow experience. There is no substitute to that. Completely agree to the point which you made.
Great point taken here, and I think in the interest of time, let me suggest there's a very valid input Rishi has provided. Let's keep the Q&As towards the end, because so as not to sort of disturb the flow of the conversation, and then we can once Subrat has sort of shared all his insights, we can take the Q&As in one together towards the end of the presentation. I hope that's okay for everyone. So let's moving on, Subrat. Why don't you tell us more about the specifics of this huge multi-crore opportunity that you have, which is sort of the headline of this Praktani Adda, and I'm sure a lot of us are very curious to know that what exactly are the specifics of this opportunity that you're trying to talk about here.
So see, Indranil, the way I will look at it is that as an entrepreneur, you are always on lookout for the problems which you can solve and the problems which are big enough. When we started 12 years ago, maybe our association started first with the business schools, then we moved to the corporate world. And over a period of time, what we realized, and I still remember the prophetic statement, the first conference which I had done, and one of the HR heads, a very senior HR head, walked up to me and said that, Subrat, you know what, organizations like you do a lot of work in industry, bringing industry and academia together. But please ensure it does not turn out to be a C2C model which is there. And I said, sir, I'm sorry, I don't understand what is C2C. The C2C which he talked about was conference to conference. He said that, in this country, there are n number of conferences which happen every month and largely around the HR subjects and HR topics. But the problem is everyone comes, they talk a lot, they go back, but nothing happens on ground, and they again come back in the next conference and talk the same. That is what, started, or that is what moved us into action. And we thought about what are the different ways in which we can bring industry and academia together. And perhaps we wanted to position ourselves in the niche area as one of the rare organizations in the country which is working towards bringing industry and academia together and doing something concrete which is there. So we are doing a lot on the research part as well, but that apart, 5 years ago, we moved into the recruitment space, wherein we said that we'll be operating in the entry-level recruitment. We have worked with a huge set of clients. We have closed, by now we have closed few thousand positions which are there. But while doing this, what came across was that and when we started talking to more and more corporates, we started asking them, okay, what is your problem area? Because what happens is, when you go for a business proposition which is there, many times we have the habit of going ahead and saying that, hey, this is my solution. Why don't you buy it? Perhaps you turn the entire discussion on the head. And if you start asking, what is the problem I can help you solve? I will tell you the mathematics, the back of envelope calculation. The back of envelope calculation, what the inputs which I have got from the various corporate leaders. The problem today at the entry level is not, at the salary bracket of 10 or 12 lakhs. The problem over there is you have got plenty of talent, but the quality of talent is not up. You come back 5 lakh, 5.5 lakh, 6 lakhs, still you get talent from, tier 2, tier 3 campuses. The problem area for the company which is there is, with the moment you come to the salary bracket of 3 lakh, 2.75 lakh, 3.25 lakh, that is where the entry level, a lot of meat exists. But unfortunately, most of the companies are struggling to find manpower at that level. Now we need to understand also how the things have changed. If I look at a 3 lakh, which essentially means maybe around 19,000 to 20,000 per month in hand, not more than that. The question asked is, do you really think that someone can survive in 19 or 20,000, which is? But at the same time, there are people who are coming and joining. But the requirement, and if I have to just give you rough estimates, the requirement at that level, the market size, if I'm talking about, is close to 4 lakh positions every year. And out of those 4 lakh, I have the statistics, I can tell you 1.5 lakh will be only and only for the financial sector. Assuming an average, ticket size, when I'm talking about the ticket size, I'm talking about the money which you charge when you provide talent to the, to the companies. Let's assume an average ticket size of 8,000 rupees, which is there. Now, out of 4 lakh, even if you talk about a 20 or 25% of market share, it comes about 1 lakh openings, which you are catering to in a year. And 1 lakh into 8,000, that somewhere comes into 80 CR. 80 CR opportunity every year coming up. You just look at the 5-year numbers, it comes to 400 CR. Now, again, here lies the beauty. It is not about that you have provided the talent and this entire thing has gone over. The beauty is there are equal number of companies which are looking at people with 1 or 2 years of experience. Then there are tier 2 players who are looking at the talent with 3 to 4 years because they want to give them 1 level jump and get into their system. If I talk about that, every candidate whom you bring into the pool has the potential of being placed in 3 different companies over the period of next 5 years. And honestly speaking, if the person is doing well, starting from 3 lakh at the end of 4 or 5 years, he may find himself somewhere close to 9 to 10 lakh if he or she has been doing pretty well. And if you take only 20% of this 1 lakh whom you are placing twice or thrice, which is there, automatically the number which comes out is in excess of 500 CR. And that is where the 500 CR is not a hypothetical number. This is an entire calculation which goes into making what this number is all about. If I'm looking at the entire market size which is there, the market size will be close to, if I talk about 2,000 or maybe 3,000 CR is the opportunity which we are looking.
this is mind-boggling, Subrat, and very, very counterintuitive. You're basically saying that in a country like ours, where the popular notion is that there is an oversupply of talent, especially at the entry level, where everyone believes that if you want to fill up one position, you will have the option of 10 guys who will line up outside your doors. What you're essentially saying is companies, when they actually go out to recruit, especially when they have to recruit en masse, they find it very difficult, right?
Yeah, in fact, Indranil, one of the talent acquisition heads of one of the largest private sector bank in India told me a concept. The word which he used was happily unemployed.
Wow.
He said that, unfortunately, there is a bunch of youngsters in the country who are happily unemployed. Because what happens is that salary level, and I faced it, firsthand, that everything is ready. And finally, the gentleman or the lady decide not to turn up. There is nothing which we can do about it. And the two things which happen, and which is really unfortunate if you ask, every time I share the openings, in the Praktani group and everywhere, many a times I get responses from my brothers, but there is a fundamental problem there. The fundamental problem is most of the CVs which I get are typically of students who have already had a gap of 4 to 5 years. And more often than not, that 4 to 5 year gap is all about, I was preparing for government services, I was preparing for bank PO, I was preparing for SSC, and that is how the entire gap of 4 to 5 years is. It is absolutely not wrong, and everyone has got a right to do for it. My only advice to all such clients is, or all such candidates is, see, there are two things. One, you know where to cut your losses. And second, it is also a concept of first deserve and then desire. See, at the heart of hearts, all of us know what we are capable of. And we may say anything to anyone, but when we go back to our bed in the night or when we look at the mirror in the morning, we cannot fool ourselves. We know what we are capable of. But just trying to be a part of the rat race and, and fantasizing about one's own possibility of getting into it. If you do not cut your losses in time, I'm sorry to say, it becomes too late. And once it becomes too late, you are neither on this side, you are neither on that side. A lot of companies we are recruiting for at the entry level 0 to 2 years, they have a specific criteria that the candidates should not be more than 26 years. And in fact, since I use the word happily unemployed, I can give you a very, very recent example which happened. Sandeep Da of Patna, he referred, two candidates to me and said that, can you somehow help them get a job in Patna in a bank? And I requested Piyush, one of our batchmates, is in Axis in Patna. I said, why don't you just push their candidature? He said that the boy is MCOM and then he can be considered. I still have the screenshot of the mail. Piyush had a conversation. Piyush said that this guy is looking only for for government jobs. And he actually told Piyush that अभी 6 महीने के लिए देख रहे हैं, कुछ ना कुछ करते रहेंगे, 6 महीने में तो कहीं निकल ही जाएंगे. I still pushed Piyush, and his call with one of the HRs was arranged. And the HR clearly wrote back in the mail the candidate was not interested. Now look here at the dichotomy. The father of the candidate was falling on the feet of Sandeep Da, please get my son a job. And here is a candidate who's telling, and then he had finally the cheek to tell to Piyush that आप मेरा छोड़ दीजिए ना, मेरी बहन की नौकरी लगवाइए ना, आप मेरे पीछे क्यों पड़े हो? I don't think I can give a better example to illustrate what being happily unemployed is all about.
Mind-boggling, Subrat. This is absolutely stunning that on one hand, in this country, we talk about record levels of youth unemployment and how large sections of our young population is, in fact, unemployable. But what you are saying is that a lot of it also has got to do with the attitude of the job seeker himself. If obviously, I mean, if he or she is not going to show enthusiasm for the job, there's no way that the company is going to really show enthusiasm back in him. Let's, in the interest of time, Subrat, let's move back to the substantive of your presentation, and because I think that's more from the business standpoint of what's the opportunity for someone who wants to sort of exploit this opportunity, this almost 500 plus crore opportunity that you're talking about. And from if I heard you correctly, what you're talking about is that there is a very large pool of entry level candidates who all this hiring basically, which is happening in the financial services space, banks, FMCG companies, they are entry level employees and we are talking of a CTC or in the range of 3 to 4 lakhs. And this is a segment where, as you mentioned, I think there are about 3 to 4 lakh openings every year. And there is a crying need for somebody who can do do this in an organized way, in a scientific way, and help companies hire the right talent on a very large scale, but at the same time, the scale should not be at the cost of quality, right? So where do you think, where does the solution lie? The IT industry has sort of cracked that code to a certain extent. They have come up with all kinds of standardized tests, etc. Does the solution lies in tech, in process, in doing it the old traditional way of going to colleges, or as you call, going back to the hinterland?
See, Indranil, the solution lies at 2 levels. And you made a statement about the IT industry. I have a slightly contrasting view about the IT industry also. You know, if by IT industry, we are referring to the TCSs, Infosys, HCLs, and Wipros of the world, yes, they have cracked it. But scratch beyond the surface and you will find that IT industry is also facing a lot of problems. You know, except for those big names, which all of us can count on our fingers, it is actually a big problem area for them as well. So my only limited, experience is that it will perhaps not be appropriate to assume that IT industry is not facing the same.
Can you elaborate that, Subrat? How is the IT industry struggling in your view?
So IT industry is struggling at 2 levels. Level 1 is to, find the talent at the price point which we are talking about. Now, what happens is candidates are happy to wait for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, but they say that I will not go into a company which I have not heard the name of, which I am not comfortable about, and all of that. I recently interviewed a candidate, and I'm sorry to share with you that, after working for 7 years in Wipro, her salary still has not crossed 30,000 a month. Now, those are the companies, because of their brand pull, they are able to do it. But the companies which do not have the equal brand pull, they are facing a lot of challenges. Point 1. The other challenges which these companies are facing is right now, it's an acute shortage of talent in tech space. So if you talk about something like, and we were sharing an example, last time when we met about the gentleman whom you were trying to hire from somewhere in the Northeast. The point is, if you are a full stack developer, you please go ahead and ask anyone, what is the salary of full stack developer? There is only one sentence which answers that. Whatever comes to his mouth is the salary of a full stack developer. And there is no guarantee, even after joining, that folk is going to stay with you for more than 2 to 3 weeks, days, months, no one knows. Because that's an acute shortage. But the companies which do not enjoy that much of brand strength, they are having problem recruiting kids at an entry level also. The solution, if you ask me, the solution lies at 2 levels.
Subrat?
Yes, Ranjan.
Ranjan here. Hi. So I was just corroborating your point. My startup friends told me campus placements in startup, number of people who move after a year is nowadays north of 60% in tech. It's not even funny what our country is going through.
I completely agree, Ranjan. And you are lucky if they stay for a year. Let me also tell you that. वो कोई ईमान धर्म नहीं है. It can be 1 month, 45, anything can happen.
Correct, correct.
I agree. And this is absolute. And I think a lot of this the blame has to go to these large tech startups based out of Bangalore who are flush with cash. And I have been, I run as I was keep saying, I run a small business. We have a small tech team, and we face the brunt of that. I have come across candidates who have offers from the likes of Amazon or a Flipkart where the bonus, not the salary, the bonus includes a BMW bike. And these are guys who are 2, 3, 4 years out of college, right?
And 2020 World Cup in the Middle East.
2020 World Cup in the Middle East, and so these are part of their salary packages, and the brunt comes to smaller mid-sized companies like us, because then the overall market gets pushed up and it becomes so much more difficult for relatively smaller companies like ours to be able to hire. Right. And I was telling you last year about our own experience. We made an offer to a guy who is based out of Siliguri. At that time, he had just graduated out of college. He was interning with a company started by his seniors remotely from Siliguri. That company was based in Kolkata. His stipend was 10,000 rupees. And his expectation when he applied to our company was 12 lakhs. Okay. So we managed to convince him to accept an offer at 9 lakh rupees. He joined us. He joined for 1 week and then he quit. And this is for something where he's going to get 9 lakhs, 1 year out of college guy, working from Siliguri, work from home remotely, right? And he quit in 1 week time. Obviously, somebody paid him more than 9 lakhs within 1 week for doing that same job, right? So that's the kind of times we are living in.
But Indranil, if you ask me, I'm sorry, I will go slightly philosophical or maybe slightly, too much in deep. But I will tell you what is the biggest reason of this problem which is there. The biggest reason for this problem is our education system. Now, what has happened is the number of 100%er or 10 pointers in 10th and 12th, which you see nowadays, is not a joke. There was a lot of debate in parliament about that, after 10th and 12th results, students commit suicide. And CBSE chairman was asked by the JPC to explain the same every year. One interesting and intelligent chairman came and he said that I will solve the problem straight up. He said, make 10th and 12th very easy. And let everyone pass with the marks which they never imagined they will get.
True.
So all of a sudden, they started passing out of 10th and 12th with the marks they never imagined.
Yeah.
And CBSE chairman is no longer being hauled and he's happy.
Yeah.
Now what happens is you completed the 10th and 12th.
And the bell cow has been thrown out of the window now.
Yes. And now a lot of private universities have opened up. And all that you need to do to take admission in that is to somewhere, fill a form, and they will send a vehicle to your house to pick you up. And then they will say that, if you have got 3, 4 more friends, your entire fee will be waived off.
Wow.
Now the person who honestly didn't deserve even to be a BA graduate has become an engineer, has got a degree of BBA, has got a degree of BA economics. All the, I will obviously name, but not name, but all these universities which are supposedly associated with Mithai Walas or which say the world is here, where are you? All these universities, I have seen, the very inside working of all of them. You name the degree and tomorrow they will start that program which is there. Now the problem with all those students is 10th, everyone said that you have got great grades. 12th, everyone said you have got great grades. If you have paid the money to the private university or the private college, no one is going to stop you. And then you come out as an engineer. But when you go out as an engineer, someone tells you, hey, I'm going to give you 20,000. And you know what? You may think you are a genius, but you are actually a stupid guy. That person has 2 challenges. One is to accept the fact that my worth is only 20,000. And second is to accept the reality that, okay, I'm actually stupid. And that is where the entire contradiction comes. And it takes a lot of effort for people to come to terms with that. The second part, since you talked about tech, what we need to also understand, and this is my understanding, and I stand to be corrected by collective wisdom of everyone. Tech is a great enabler. But the problem is this entire problem exists because of information asymmetry. Companies want people. People want to get into companies. There is nothing connecting them. And these kids typically come from the tier 3, tier 4, and the kasbas of the country. They will not come from the Noidas and Gurgaons of the world. And over there, many of them will have their own challenges being savvy on tech or being connected. In my understanding, if we have to solve this problem, the need is for a set of people to put their heads down, go down to tier 3, tier 4 cities, set up an entire supply network. And once you have tie up with the degree colleges over there, tie up with the colleges whose name no one else would have heard of. And once you have got that supply chain, and as Gautam said, you are true in your delivery. And you know what is the best part of it, this entire business model? In this entire business model, you never ask for a single penny from the student in the entire journey. If you, once you settle that, once you set up that supply network which is there, and you give a good experience to the person, these are also the people who can become your brand ambassadors tomorrow. But as per me, the solution is not tech-enabled. Once you get them on board, then obviously you need to use the tech platform, but sourcing cannot be solved using the tech platforms. Otherwise, the first Naukris of the world, they would have by now cracked. The solution lies in putting your head down and going to those small towns, kasbas, and setting up the entire, the way FMCG companies talk about distribution channel, I am perhaps talking about rural India sourcing channel.
Yeah, Vinayda has been very patiently raising his hand for a very long time.
I have a small question for Subrat. What is your advice for poor guys like that guy who didn't grab the opportunity at the right time, where his father was insisting and all? Because ultimately he was a loser. But what is your advice, or is it an apt question for Prakash Chandra to answer? I don't know whether.
No, it's see, Dada, it is not about what you have. The problem, and that is what I said, it is important for everyone to have a self-check. I'm sorry to say, but when I was associated with Career Launcher, the parents used to come up to us and what they used to tell us, सर आपको पता है मेरा बेटा ना बिल्कुल भी पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहा, सर आपको पता है मेरी बिटिया ना बहुत ज्यादा टाइम मोबाइल में बिता रही है, सर ऐसा करना ना अगली बार जब वो आए ना क्लास करने तो उसको बहुत जोर से डांटना. एंड वी यूज्ड टू से कि ऐसा करेंगे हम बिल्कुल डांटेंगे, यू कम और दोनों मिल के डांटें. सर ये तो बताना भी मत कि मैं आया था, ये तो बताना भी मत कि मैं आई थी. एंड वी मेड इट क्लियर टू द पेरेंट्स कि बॉस आपके बच्चे हैं, अगर आपको इतना डर लगता है अपने बच्चों को बताने को, तो प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड देयर आर सम रिस्पांसिबिलिटीज इन लाइफ व्हिच यू कैन नॉट आउटसोर्स. All of us are well-wishers. We can make them understand. But this outsourcing and abdication of responsibility, no, it does not work. If I would be that father, trust me, what I will do is the moment I come to know from Sandeep that this is what my son has done, I will slap him left, right, and center 20 times and then talk to him कि अब तू बता क्या हुआ. पर पहले मैं पीटूंगा कि अगर तुझे नौकरी नहीं चाहिए थी, तूने उस आदमी के सामने मेरा नाम क्यों खराब किया. And trust me, a lot of times when brothers or any my good friends come to me for help, I have absolutely no regrets. But what I tell them is, there have been instances when I have finalized an engineering or an MBA seat for someone without a single penny being paid anywhere. Everything is done, and then all of a sudden, the person starts absconding. My son does not want to go now. I said, then why the hell did you put your reputation on stake and in turn my reputation on stake? Those are the things, Vinayda. This is what I'm answering my ability. Maybe Prakash can add better, but this is what it is. कई बार कान के नीचे बचपन से बजाते रहने से बच्चे ठीक रहते हैं.
तुम्हारा advice है कि don't leave the rod and spoil the child.
Absolutely. That's what I will.
There are many such guys who don't understand the right opportunity. चलो ठीक है.
In the interest of time, Subrat, I'll start wrapping this up. So if I can attempt a quick summary of what you're saying, I think what you're suggesting is that obviously there's a very large opportunity, and nobody has really been able to, in terms of being a very large opportunity for helping companies hire for this bottom of the pyramid entry level jobs, and nobody has really been able to crack that code in a sustainable manner. And in your view, the solution really lies not really in doing it. The solution can never be completely tech oriented. It has to involve old school, going to the ground, going to the hinterland, going to the small towns, and creating a network with colleges there and public institutions there, and so that you're able to create a sustainable supply of this entry-level talent for companies. Is that a fair summary, or would you want to just add anything to that?
Absolutely, Indranil. And you must look at the chat. There is a question from one of our very close friends.
Yeah.
The last question which has popped up is,
so much does that.
So I have two standing offers. One for the gentleman who has asked this question. As always, my offer stands for you, dear friend. Come and be a part of it. I will be happy to work with you at your terms and conditions. And if I have to answer in general, I have an open offer for everyone. I will not name the company. Indranil knows the company. I have a proposal from them for hiring 2,000 BCom graduates. My team is working on that. I know I will not be able to meet 2,000 numbers, I'm being honest. Open offer to anyone who's there in this call. We can connect offline. My take is very simple. You do the sourcing bit which is there, and whatever candidates through your sourcing would finally get the job, 50% of whatever I'll be getting from the client, I'm happy to pass it on to you. And I can assure you, even if we source 1,000, it is in excess of 30 lakhs. So here is a standing offer for all the brothers who are here, and even those who are not here, who ever see this video, it is a standing offer. Come be a part of it. And trust me, sky is the limit if we get to work together. Standing offer for this.
This is actually stunning at multiple levels. While I have no competencies to be able to sort of participate in this opportunity, but what you are basically saying is there are 2,000 openings and since I have the privilege of knowing the company that you're talking about, it's a large multinational company, and the job openings are not really lowly paid 15,000-20,000 rupee jobs. These are more like 30,000-35,000 rupee jobs. So decent, and the expectation is basic BCom graduates, right? So it's
with zero experience.
With zero experience. So there's a significant premium that the company is paying over and above what these guys will be able to, the kind of jobs they will be able to get directly from campus, from their respective colleges. And yet a very large international MNC brand is struggling to fill up these positions. So obviously there is something missing, right? So there are job seekers who want these highly paid jobs. Companies have these openings, but somehow that meeting of grounds is not being able to happen, and somebody will have to figure out how to do this meeting of minds or matching in a more efficient manner, and that can make for what you call a 500 crore opportunity. I'll just let Doipan Sen, who also has been waiting very patiently for a long time, to add his thoughts here.
You're on mute, Disen.
Yeah, Disen, you're on mute.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Great. It was a very learning experience from both of you, Indranil and Subrat. Subrat, if you can recall that we had discussed about this when we last met during our reunion, and I was till date I was just keeping quiet. I just want to share one perspective of my learnings, which is also a big thing it's a learning, and it's a really a surprise learning from all of us, many of us. Actually, as you know, that I work in I actually have a social enterprise, and we work in the organic farming sector, providing a lot of services to the government programs. Now, in one such project, we have to recruit around 25 programmatic data facilitator, PDF, at district level, and their package was 8,000 rupees. So I was really very concerned that 8,000 रुपया में कौन काम करने वाला है यहाँ पर, ठीक है? Now, anyway, before we floated or what, it was just a word of mouth that we said that we want this one candidate, and you won't be surprised that the number of people rushed in to get this particular job. Then I went deep into the thoughts, and why at 8,000 ruपया में we are getting PhD, we are getting MSc Masters in agriculture, we are getting BTech, MTech students at 8,000 rupees to work in district, and that too for as a programmatic data facilitator, data entry operator kind of a thing. So it was quite surprising, and I just started during the interview and after post that also, after placement, I was just interacting with all these guys. What do they do? So they were thinking that this is actually it's a semi-government job because they are placed in the government offices only, and they were thinking that their parents are much more interested. Even they are very much interested, and they're all trying what Subrat is saying. Subrat just told that they're all trying for government jobs, and in this particular opportunity, it is a semi-government kind of a job. So they agreed on 8,000 rupees. Now, this is one part. The other part I came to know later on, that there is a lot of recruitments that happens with the government sector where they take part-time, casual employees. And these casual employees are in agriculture and other sectors, they are labeled as different coins. Their positions are labeled differently. And you won't believe, there's a huge rush of people who wants to get into this particular kind of job. And these are taken up by contract, and there are contractors who supply human resources or manpower to the government at a predefined rates. And they not only place candidates in districts, they take a huge lump sum amount as cash for putting the people into those positions. Remember one thing, these are not government positions. These are the government salary or fixed salary or something like that. It's kind of a part-time, casual positions. And this too, when this is my personal experience, I came to know that even the officers in where I had placed this particular candidates in the positions, they asked that kitna rupiya deke ye naukri mila tumhe. So just think, like, there are people to just government ka thappa milne ke liye ya government office mein jaake kaam karne ke liye, they are not only happily employed or unemployed, whatever you say, whatever you coin, there are 5,000 rupees में आपको मिल जाएगा आदमी. But for doing a private enterprise job, if it is a private sector job, मैंने आप 25,000 रुपया भी दो, 30,000 रुपया भी दो, they are reluctant, and if they join also, they are sad people. And if it is totally contrary. It's upbringing, it's an environment, it's abhi bhi, there's a lot of things that has to go into this. I do not know, like as a career person, like you are giving a lot of job opportunity, you interact with a lot of things, you go to conferences, but if you go to the rural sectors, it's a really very bad situation. People सरकारी नौकरी के लिए शादी कर लेते हैं, 5,000 रुपया में 3 people in the out of 25
in
guys
fact,
who got 8,000 rupees, 3 people got married.
In fact, Deesan, you know what? Perhaps one thing which I would like also to share, where we are, perhaps creating a different niche altogether, is we are very clear about we are not a CV sourcing company. We are looking at what is the value add. And I'm happy to share with all the brothers who are still around that perhaps we are one of the rarest company in the country operating today, which says that, you know what, in case you want your talent to be trained before they join you, we have also got the ability to train the talent on the specific things. Now, if it is a very technical thing, your team can come and train. If it is not something very technical, you can do the trainer with us, and we can train the manpower. So what is happening is, for a lot of companies, what we are suggesting is that perhaps go one level down, train the people who will be more thankful to you for the job which you are offering. And we will ensure that the job, the manpower which joins you is much more skilled on the day of joining than what it would be otherwise. So that is, for example, I'm happy to share with one of the blue chip companies, we are working for training of 3,000 people before they join. In fact, there is another company for which we are doing an campus outreach for 25,000 students. So what is helping us is that, the entire network across the institutions which we have built, it helps us customize, the offerings to the companies for exact needs what they have, and rather than becoming just like a CV sourcing firm, something what we are in the future. Over to you, Indranil.
Great points from both Deesan and Subrat. I think we have completely run out of time, Subrat, but maybe we can just squeeze in a couple of questions or closing remarks if anybody has one. And then we will call it a day for today. Over to everyone. Anyone has any specific questions for Subrat, or any closing remarks or insights that you would want to add from your side?
Hello, Subrat. Satyam this side.
Hi, Satyam.
Hi, Satyam.
I had one question. I typed it in the chat box also. So that's regarding the attrition rate that we see in the IT sector. So sometimes it goes above 40%. So is it because people, like as you said, they want to be happily unemployed, or because maybe the pay and packages are maybe not good enough, and that's why they are quitting at a higher rate?
See, the attrition in IT companies is because of 3 reasons. Reason number 1, people realizing they don't have a future in this. Right? IT companies right now, if you ask me, they have become the default career choice. Maximum openings are there. So a mechanical engineer, a civil engineer, a BBA, a BCA, everyone ends up going to an IT company. You reach there, you realize that, okay, boss, this is not my cup of tea. And that is when you switch out. Many of them move to the higher education space. The second reason for a high level of attrition in IT industry today is all the new tech companies which are there flush with funds. I can name the company over here. The company name is Udaan. And I was talking to their North India P&L head. I'm talking about a couple of years ago, pre-COVID times. I was talking to him. He was talking about that, we're just exploring if we can help them in manpower sourcing and everything. He said, you know what, Subrat, the problem with me is that I need the workforce yesterday. So therefore, I have no qualms in splurging whatever money I have to splurge. And then he also said in the same way, but I also tell you, I will fire 90% of them in next 1 year or 2 years. For the time being, I just need someone to punch the keys. And for that, I just don't have time for training. I just want, even if my cost of acquisition is high. Now, these are the companies which are fueling the high levels of attrition. It may be worthy to note over here that the TCS chairman was asked the same question, that, there is a problem of talent. How do you see this happening and spanning out in Indian IT industry? He made a very powerful statement. He said, I know as a matter of fact that no company in India has the higher profitability rate than TCS. So if I cannot afford a salary, no one in the country can afford that salary. What we are saying are temporary blips. The companies which are burning cash and sourcing candidates at any level because they have to show that in their term sheet. So these are the prime reasons what is feasible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Great. If you don't have any more questions, Subrat, maybe I will invite you to make a brief closing remarks, if any, before we wrap up.
No, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much, Indranil, for beautifully moderating and kindly consenting to moderate.
My pleasure, yeah, my pleasure.
The offer is open. All those who want to be a part of this journey and are willing to get their hands dirty, you have all my coordinates at any point of time. You are most welcome to be a part of the journey. And otherwise also, you now briefly know what I do. If I can be of help to any of the brothers, senior, junior, I'll be happy to be of any help. That's all I want to say. Nothing.
Great, Subrat, great. I think it's a wonderful session, and at least for me, it was quite an eye opener because you're talking about an opportunity. It's not the traditional fancy tech-driven kind of opportunities, but it's a real opportunity that anyone who is ready to work on the field can exploit this opportunity. All you need is the tenacity and the will to go and do some legwork on the ground. Many thanks for sharing these insights. And obviously, I think anyone who would be interested in sort of working on this space, I am sure would have found your insights very, very useful. I thank everyone for taking out time on a weekend evening to join in for this session. It means a lot to Subrat. Surely it means a lot to me. And thanks a ton to the Praktani Adda team for creating this wonderful platform for this healthy exchange of ideas and a platform for us to, for the Praktani brothers to interact with each other at regular intervals. It's wonderful. For us, it's coming a little 25 years too late. We graduated got out of Vidyapit in 97. I wish a platform like that had materialized earlier so that we could have started having these sessions earlier. But better late than never. I'm keenly looking forward for this platform to grow and going forward have many more such sessions and very enthusiastic participation from all the Praktani brothers.
But
thank you.
Before we sign off, I have an announcement for everyone.
Please.
You'll be happy to know that Manishda is here, and Manishda has promised that after he is free from Centenary, he will consider spending some time with me to help me in this endeavor. So thank you, Manishda, for considering.
Thanks, Subrat. In fact, looking forward to working with you. And I'm so happy that you have kind of spoken in detail about your journey. And I'm quite sure, as Niril has said, that you were a prodigy child there in school also, and it was learned long back that I didn't know that aspect. So thanks, Niril, for bringing those aspects about Subrat all our knowledge. And I'm quite sure that Subrat's journey would be an inspiration to number of our Vidyapit juniors, Praktani members, and I'm sure he would be guiding them every time to excel in life. Thank you so much, Subrat, and look forward to meeting you soon in Vidyapit.
Manishda, since we have a sizable gathering here, can I request you to, before we close, to give a quick update maybe on how the centenary celebration preparations are shaping up, and if there is
that is domain of Prashant Tibrewal, who is right now traveling, so I will not bother Manishda with that.
Achha.
But I am taking the liberty of saying that.
Hello. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. What was that in the name?
Subrat kind of answered on your behalf, but I was requesting that before we close.
Okay, Yeah,
Is there
Prashant is traveling. Yeah, Prashant is traveling. Yeah. So he would be updating because he is the person like who is getting all the infos from various channels. So he would be in a much better position to update you guys.
Sure.
And
sure.
next week I'm traveling to Vidyapi. So once I'm there, I will be updating you on that.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again for joining in. We'll call it a day here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.